Hey everyone, welcome back to English Conversation Studio. I'm Alex. Difficult conversations at work, giving feedback, addressing a problem with a colleague, or talking honestly with your manager. These conversations are challenging in any language. Today we'll show you how to handle them in natural professional English.
And I'm Anna. Today's grammar focus is conditionals, sentences with if. If I speak to him, what will happen? If I had known earlier, I would have said something. If you have a problem, you should address it. Conditionals are everywhere in difficult conversations, and today we'll cover the three most important types. Let's go. Alex, I need your help. I have to have a really uncomfortable conversation with my colleague David tomorrow, and I'm dreading it, honestly. I've been putting it off for 2 weeks already.
Oh, what's happened with David? Last time you mentioned him, everything seemed fine between you two.
It was fine until recently. So basically, on a project we worked on together last month, David presented some of my ideas to the senior team without mentioning that they came from me, and it's happened twice now. I don't think he's doing it maliciously, but it's affecting how I'm seen by the leadership team, and I have to say something.
I completely understand why that's frustrating. And you're right, you do have to address it. If you stay silent, it will keep happening. That's just a reality.
Exactly. But I'm worried about how he'll react. If I bring it up the wrong way, it could make things really awkward between us. We have to work together every day. I don't want to damage the relationship.
That's a valid concern, but honestly, if you approach it calmly and without accusations, most reasonable people respond well. The way you say something matters just as much as what you say.
Let's look at the grammar. Alex said, if you stay silent, it will keep happening, and if you approach it calmly, most people will respond well. These are first conditionals, used for real, likely situations and their probable results. The structure is if plus present simple, will plus base verb. The situation is realistic and the result is likely.
First conditional is perfect for difficult conversations because you're thinking through real consequences. If I say this, what will happen? If he reacts badly, what will I do? It helps you prepare. And you can also use might instead of will for less certain results. If I bring it up, he might get defensive. Slightly less certain, but still very natural.
Okay, so how would you actually start the conversation? That's what I'm most nervous about, the opening line.
I'd keep it simple and non-threatening. Something like, hey David, do you have a few minutes? I wanted to talk about something. Nothing serious, I just want to make sure we're on the same page about something. That way he doesn't go into defensive mode before you've even started.
Oh, I like that. Make sure we're on the same page. It sounds collaborative rather than accusatory. And then what?
Then be specific but calm. Don't say you always do this. That puts people on the defensive immediately. Instead say, in the last presentation, a couple of the ideas that came from our conversations together were presented without mentioning that they came from me. I just wanted to flag that. I don't think it was intentional, but it's something I'd like us to be more conscious of going forward.
That's really good. It's direct, but it gives him the benefit of the doubt, and it focuses on the behavior, not on him as a person.
Exactly. And if he apologizes and explains himself, great, problem solved. But if he gets defensive, just stay calm and keep coming back to the facts. Don't get pulled into an argument.
Hey David, do you have a few minutes? I wanted to chat about something. Nothing serious. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Of course, what's up?
So, in last week's presentation to the senior team, a few of the ideas that came from our conversations together were presented without mentioning that they came from me. It's happened a couple of times now, and I just wanted to flag that. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but it matters to me that my contributions are visible, especially at that level.
Oh, Anna, honestly, I had no idea it came across that way. I didn't think about attribution in the moment. I was so focused on delivering the presentation smoothly. But you're completely right, and I'm really sorry. That wasn't fair to you at all.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I wasn't sure how to bring it up, but I knew if I didn't say something, it would just keep bothering me.
No, I'm glad you did. If you hadn't said something, I would have kept doing it without realizing. Going forward, if we work on something together, I'll make sure I reference your contributions explicitly. Would it help if we agreed on that before presentations?
That would be really helpful, actually. Yes, even just a quick check-in before we present anything. That's all I need, honestly.
Absolutely. Consider it done. And Anna, I really respect you for bringing this up directly. A lot of people would have just complained behind the scenes. This is much better.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate that. I'm glad we talked.
David said, if you hadn't said something, I would have kept doing it. Wait, that's actually third conditional, which we'll cover in a moment. But he also said something interesting earlier. Let's create a second conditional example from this situation. If I were Anna, I would feel frustrated too. Second conditional. If plus past simple, would plus base verb. Used for hypothetical or imaginary situations. Not real, just imagined.
Second conditional is for things that are unlikely or just hypothetical. If I were the manager, I would handle this differently. If David worked in another team, this wouldn't be a problem. These aren't real, they're imagined scenarios. And notice we say if I were, not if I was in formal English, especially with the verb to be. You'll hear both in natural speech, but were is more correct. Alex, I did it. I had the conversation with David, and it went so much better than I expected, honestly.
I'm excited. Tell me everything. How did he react?
He was genuinely apologetic. He said he hadn't even thought about attribution in the moment and that he was glad I told him. We agreed on a check-in process before any future presentations. I feel like such a weight has been lifted.
That's amazing. See, if you hadn't prepared properly, that conversation could have gone very differently. All that thinking through what to say really paid off.
It really did. And you know what? If I had said something 2 weeks ago when it first happened, it would have been even easier. I made it bigger in my head by waiting so long.
That's such a common thing. We build things up into mountains when really they're just hills. If we address problems earlier, most of them wouldn't feel so overwhelming.
Exactly. Okay, I have a question for you now. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice about difficult conversations, what would it be?
Anna said, if I had said something 2 weeks ago, it would have been easier. That's third conditional. If plus past perfect, would have plus past participle. We use it for past situations that didn't happen, imagining a different past. It's the what-if tense, regrets, missed opportunities, or just reflecting on how things could have been different.
Third conditional is very common in reflective conversations, looking back on the past. If I had studied harder, I would have got the job. If she had left earlier, she wouldn't have missed the train. If we had spoken sooner, this wouldn't have become such a big issue. Real events in the past, but imagining the alternative outcome.
If I could give my younger self advice, I would say, if you feel something is wrong, address it immediately. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. I wasted so much energy avoiding difficult conversations when I was younger. If I had learned earlier that most people respond well to honesty, I would have saved myself so much stress.
That's really beautiful advice, honestly, and it applies to work, friendships, relationships, everything. Difficult conversations are just honest conversations with higher stakes.
Perfectly said. You know, if more people had the courage to speak honestly and kindly at the same time, workplaces would be so much healthier. It's not about being confrontational, it's about being clear and respectful.
And today proved that. One calm, honest conversation, problem solved, relationship intact, both people feeling better. If only it was always that simple.
If only. But honestly, it usually is that simple when you approach it the right way. We just scare ourselves out of trying.
True. Okay, this feels like the perfect note to end our series on. Real life, real conversations, real outcomes.
Couldn't agree more. And to everyone watching, if you've learned something from this series, that makes every episode worth it. Thank you all so much for being here.
Grammar review. 3 conditionals. First conditional, if plus present simple, will plus base verb. Real and likely situations. If you address it calmly, things will go well. Used for realistic consequences and future possibilities.
Second conditional, if plus past simple, would plus base verb. Hypothetical or imaginary situations. If I were the manager, I would do things differently. Not real, just imagined. Remember, if I were, not if I was in formal English.
Grammar review. 3 conditionals. First conditional, if plus present simple, will plus base verb, real and likely situations. If you address it calmly, things will go well, used for realistic consequences and future possibilities.
Second conditional, if plus past simple, would plus base verb, hypothetical or imaginary situations. If I were the manager, I would do things differently. Not real, just imagined. Remember, if I were, not if I was in formal English.
Grammar review. 3 conditionals. First conditional, if plus present simple, will plus base verb, real and likely situations. If you address it calmly, things will go well, used for realistic consequences and future possibilities.
Second conditional, if plus past simple, would plus base verb, hypothetical or imaginary situations. If I were the manager, I would...